Hello, Lappies and gentlemen. It's your host, the Frozen Lappy. And I'm coming back today with a solution or a discovery. So, in my last video, I basically asked you how we make the most out of basically living a life that is terrible. It's destined to be terrible, and nothing's going to change that. But I asked, how do we live it without dreading each day? And I came to a conclusion. So basically, my mind has been messed up for a little while. I did the tiniest amount of acid with my good friend, and it frazzled my brain for like a good week. The first 2 days I couldn't sleep. The first 5 days my brain was kind of vacant. Like I was kind of here, but kind of not. But then after that, I noticed my level of creativity increased by a crazy amount. I had a day where I was basically like down and out. Like I felt like just sad and like way down or something, like crazy, like amounts of sad that I never felt before. But then the next day I felt creativity just surging through my brain at a level that I've never experienced. And I was writing these songs. I'm writing these songs, just going through them like it's a puzzle or something. Like it's nothing. Like I've never breezed through music so quickly. And I can make music in a short amount of time easily. But the way that this was flowing, it's like it's kind of unexplainable. It's just like the music was going directly from my mind onto the page. It was just going out. I'm like, that's crazy. So, a couple days go by. I'm writing the songs, whatever. And I'm just having a good time. I'm chilling. And, just writing my music, writing a whole bunch of music. And so today, I'm working at my dead-end job, doing the dead-end job work like usual. And so I asked myself, where is this stream of creativity coming from? What is this new stream of creativity? I don't even know what this is, because this is not something that's coming from me. Where is this new creative stream coming from? Then I started having flashbacks of my entire life. Just me as a child. And then I realized that this was me visualizing this newfound creativity. This well of creative energy was visualizing itself. It was showing itself to me. And I'm like, okay, it's weird. It's strange. It's very strange. But then I realized that that's where it comes from. Childhood. The imagination that I was born with, the curiosity that I was born with, the level of humor that I was born with. I came out of the womb with it. And I saw it manifest in different ways throughout my childhood. I'm like, hold up. I had it then. I have it now. Where did I go wrong? Where did this creative energy leave me? When? Where and when in my life? I went back to, let me say it, DeMatha Catholic High School. DeMatha Catholic High School. is what ruined my life. DeMatha Catholic High School in Hyattsville, Maryland. Yeah. They need to burn that thing to the ground. Burn that entire school to the ground, because it is a breeding ground. It is a breeding ground for depression and anal rape. I didn't get raped, but one of my teachers did. He got his cheeks clapped by another teacher. Burn it to the ground. I had to study a whole new curriculum in that school because one of my teachers got his cheeks clapped in an all-male school. Yeah, that's where I was at. That's where I was at. That's where my mom put me. Right? But that's not the point. The point is that my creativity was compromised when I was faced with conformity. I had to either learn to conform or to be marginalized and ostracized by this hive mind of kids who couldn't even find themselves, and they were lost in their own ego, their own artificial ego given to them by playing sports and having girls and whatever. So I bit that. I took the bait. And that stream of creative consciousness from my youth was compromised for the first time. And I started seeing things through a set of eyes that I had never known before. And that set of eyes couldn't make a rainbow out of a rain cloud. That set of eyes just saw the rain cloud. And my mother has this notion that I've been depressed my whole life. I've been negative my whole life. I've been pessimistic my whole life. And then I realized that's not true. Because when I look back in to this visualization of this stream of childhood consciousness, childhood creative consciousness, I see a memory. I went to this school called Charlotte Avenue, and I loved the school. You know, it was a really good school. It was cool. I loved it. I didn't have any friends there. Was it because I was the only black kid? I don't know. Was it because I was weird? I don't know. I didn't have any friends. I had one friend. One friend went there, you know? I didn't care that I only had one friend. And I saw him like 2 or 3 times. I didn't care. I didn't understand that. I didn't care about that. I thought I was a Power Ranger. I didn't care about what anybody had to say or what the negative connotations were that went with that. Like, I didn't understand that. I didn't care about that. It's only when I went through the threshold of conformity that these things mattered to me. That I felt this pain, that I felt this anxiety, that I felt this depression. My headphones are in the way. Whatever. Should I move them? No, I shouldn't. I'll just leave it. But when I reached this wanting to be loved and accepted and recognized by this general populace that could literally kill Lil Lappy and move on to the next day, that's when I started feeling stress. That's when I started feeling anxiety. That's when my anxiety gene was brought out in me. When my depression gene was brought out in me was when I, not even knowing what was going on, 13-year-old Lil Lappy, when 13-year-old Lil Lappy compromised the creative consciousness of his youth. That's when I wanted to fucking kill myself. Excuse my language. But that's when it happened. That's when it happened. It's not my fault. It's not any of our faults. We don't know what we're getting put into. We don't know what's going on. We don't know. We don't know what we're giving up to be loved and accepted by these people, to be respected by these people, to be admired by these people. At the end of the day, I sold myself to be bullied by those people, to really be a disappointment to my mother, to my parents. They wanted me to be a doctor. I wanted to be a hip-hop MC. But I went through the motions trying to impress these people, trying to be liked and loved and accepted by these people. And I sold myself for what? I sold myself for what? To not be a priority in any of these people's minds? To develop mental illness? That's what I sold myself for? And to be in this position of society, that's what I sold myself for? That's what I compromised my creative energy for? Makes no sense. It makes no sense why we do this to ourselves. I know nobody's listening to me. But that's what brought us here. That's what brought us here. Us wanting to be loved and respected and valued by a society that doesn't value us. That's what brought us here. But that brings me on to my next point. Is that we need to find that child in all of us. And we got to bring it to every day that we live the same day. Because that's the only way that we can put a smile on our faces, man. That's the only way that we can make it to the next day. Is when we see this world through those eyes. And that's the cure to everything. That's the cure to it all. That's the cure to this pain, this loneliness, this feeling of hopelessness. That's the cure to it, man. I'm remembering all the times where I was a kid, laying in bed, 5 years old. My imagination was running wild, man. I had I had, dreams that were wild, that were beyond imagination, and I saw everything in such a comedic way. I remember one time I had a dream where I was driving around the car, I crashed the car, it made a fart sound, and I laughed so hard that I woke up. And maybe the world was just as terrible back. The camera cut off as I was saying this, but I was saying that maybe this world is just as terrible now as it was for me back then, but the one thing that changed was my perception. And no matter whose fault it is, there was a change. I could blame my mother, who should rightfully take the blame. I could blame that high school that I went to, that should rightfully take the blame. I could be compensated for my loss of innocence, which probably won't happen. But the reality of it is that that child that's in all of us, that creativity from our youth, the way that we used to look at things and think about things, is something that we need to survive each and every single day that we live on this planet. Without it, we're lost. Without it, we're dead. Without it, we're subject to pain. We're subject to disappointment. And for me, I need to find people and I need to find places that nurture and appreciate that set of eyes that still exists in me. That set of eyes that came back to life, basically. We need to be able to see things from that perspective just as much as we see the world from this mature perspective. That's how we can make the most out of every day. And that's the only way that we can make the most out of every day. But, I'm gonna go to the park. I'm gonna look for a pet toad. I'm gonna look for some roly-polies. And, yeah. I'm releasing a short mixtape, so look out for that. Like, subscribe, show your friends, your buddies, and whatnot. I'll be back. Take care of yourself.